Recording in progress.
Oh.
And 11, make a wish.
Yes.
How many times do you guys do that? Or see the time, the numbers, and go, ooh, synchronicity. What does it mean?
Oh, I do all the time. There was something that happened yesterday, and I can't even remember. It was something magical, and it was 333, and I was like, ooh, 333. And now it was so special that I can't even remember what it was.
I
love that.
Meant a lot.
Yeah, exactly, right?
So I hit record because I felt like that was kind of a juicy question, which is that Jennifer just posed is, what is spirituality to you? What does that even mean? When you hear that, what does it drum up? Yeah.
Jennifer, so me, kick it off. Or you. Yeah.
So what's interesting is that when people say, are you spiritual? I always put it with like, not quite, I would say Christian. I would say when people said they were spiritual, I always felt like that meant that they were Christian. And then when I was doing my practicums for the course that we just took, I was introducing what I was doing to people and saying, like, what do you know about this? And a bunch of them said, well, I'm spiritual. And then my next question was, what does spiritual mean to you? Because for me, I have this whole organized religion as spiritual. And when they said they were spiritual, they were saying, oh no, I believe in spirit and I believe in all these different, modalities and all these different woo-woo things. Mm-hmm. And then I still find myself when people say that I don't sit comfortably with that label. In fact, I don't need a label, right? Mm-hmm. There's a lot of things that I think we don't need labels for, and I'm just Jennifer, right? I just do some fantastic stuff and I'm just Jennifer. And that sitting with the spiritual label didn't make me feel comfortable, but that doesn't mean it can't make other people feel comfortable because, mm-hmm. right, we're three different people and we have three different feelings on this. And then Tiana, what did you say about that?
Well, to me, spirituality, it's all of it, right? To me, spirituality is just being in touch with spirit, whatever that looks like to you, right? Mm-hmm. Whatever that is. It's believing that there is something maybe higher, greater than, not necessarily worshiping, but being in touch with and having direct connection to that thing. Like I was saying, God, I do believe there's God, but I don't know that my definition of God is the way someone who practices Catholicism or Christianity or whatever. It's not going to look the same, right? To me, God is greatest of dimension and it's the highest of high and the purest of pure, right? And so I try as much as humanly possible, because it's hard to human, to be in touch with that, right? And live that way and be accepting and have unconditional love and understanding for literally everything on this planet, not just fellow humans, but every single aspect of that. So yeah, I'm not opposed to being called spiritual. I've identified as spiritual many times, but it's not the way that I think people who maybe practice a little more of an organized religion would see it.
Mm-hmm. And I think maybe that's where it is too, because I have identified for so much of my life as being Catholic.
Yeah.
And so even when you say Catholic, it's Catholic, not Christian.
Yeah.
And so then when I'd come across so many people that say, well, I'm Christian, and I'd be like, and I'm Catholic. Right? So there was already that label there. So then, and I really haven't put too much thought into the spirituality label, and maybe that is something that I warm up to or let other people identify me as, which is fine. Mm-hmm. But it was weird. It just kind of like, for whatever reason, rubbed me the wrong way.
It's triggering, hey?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I wonder if that's from
and it wasn't like fully upset. It just like, meh, I don't really like that. On to the next thing, kind of thing. Yeah.
What do you think of it, Patricia?
Yeah, I kind of had a organized religious connotation on it for sure. When I hear people say spiritual, I'm like, mm-hmm. Kind of how I was when I first started hearing people talk about self-love. In the metaphysical circles, you hear these words, and I was like, what? I don't like that. But I guess now that I've heard more people use it in terms of like woo-woo stuff, mm-hmm. Oh, okay, that's cool. Probably wouldn't use it to describe myself unless I thought I was trying to relate to someone that I thought would relate to that word.
Yeah.
To describe what I was doing. But yeah, seems, I don't know. Yeah, a religious attachment there. I'll have to about, get unplugged from any religious grids there that kind of trigger me, because I do, whenever we talk about kind of organized religion, God, whatever, I'm like, well, yeah, there's something like scraping me in the back there.
Did you grow up religious?
There were undertones, but I wouldn't say that we grew up religious by any means, especially if you compare me to some, a Catholic gal, probably.
You guys say you hear religious. Before really stepping into this world and finding myself and becoming one with self and kind of taking this journey on ascension, or whatever you want to call it, awakening. When I heard spirituality, and same thing, like my family's very Catholic, so not my mother, but like my grandmother and my aunt. So we went to mass and we did all the Easter stuff, and same thing, Sunday school once in a while. And I always saw spirituality as the other side of it. Like I always heard of spirituality being the people who were psychic, the people who were woo, the people who were in that side of stuff.
Neat.
I never really saw it as the religious side ever. Now I'm just like, whatever, it is what it is, right? Like I had said, but yeah, it was the opposite for me. Very interesting. Cool. So what would you call then, Jennifer and Patricia, like the world of woo, what would you refer to that as? Metaphysical?
Yeah, metaphysical.
So then what would somebody identify as? A metaphysic?
Yeah.
Just the crazies.
Medhead.
The woo. A medhead.
Meta.
Now we call them, like, who do I follow? He says there's the woo and then there's the normies. Yeah. But no, you know what? I think we just called them psychics. I think it was just the other end of the table there was Christians, Catholics, and then psychics. And
psychics, yeah, I hear that more.
And I don't like there wasn't really, the spirituality. I just felt like that word was used more to talk about your connection with Jesus, not anything else. So that's where it was kind of triggering to me that the term that I grew up with was all of a sudden being used by a whole bunch of people that didn't fit into my definition of what it was.
I'm going to look up.
You're going to look up spirituality?
I am, because I'm curious what Google would say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, what does Google say?
And, maybe it's just in the definition is different for us because we're in different age groups as well. Right?
So it says, when you look up spirituality in the Oxford Dictionary, it says, the quality of being concerned with the human spirit or soul as opposed to material or physical things.
I am quite concerned with the human soul. I guess I'm
spirituality is about seeking a meaningful connection with something bigger than yourself, which can result in positive emotions such as peace and awe. And then it's funny because when you put in spirituality, it actually says spirituality versus religion.
Neat.
So religion is a specific set of organized beliefs and practices, usually shared by a community or a group. Spirituality is more of an individual practice and has to do with having a sense of peace and purpose. And that's how I've always known it to be. And not obviously that exact definition, because I would have said it if it did, but that's how I always saw it. Like spirituality is finding yourself. Whereas someone said it, I heard it one time and I can't remember where, but they said they're not practicing religion because they don't need to learn how to worship somebody else's awakening. They'd rather experience it for themselves.
Nice.
Yeah. And I was like, damn, that's so true. Like, why not go through instead of like learning Jesus's teachings and, going and doing all, like, why don't you just embody what he is by bettering yourself? Right? And living that way.
Well, and opening your own channel, right? I mean, use the channel and brought through information to help people, better themselves. We can all do that. Absolutely. So why not just do it yourself?
He has so many things, right? So why not?
It's interesting because I don't know where or when that idea was in my brain, but it's interesting that Patricia and I kind of hold that same sense for both that language.
Yeah.
I don't know where it was used or when it was used, but that was, it was.
Somebody told me that somewhere along the way, and I was like,
into what whatever definition that I held for it. And maybe I'll warm up to that in the long run, because I do see your point for the use of it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not against that. I'm just didn't feel like it fit for me. And who knows, maybe we can come up with another term, or maybe there's another term out there that's more apt at describing what we're actually doing, because spirituality also is so vague too at the same time, because really, if your awakening could be any awakening to a organized religious or not organized religion, right? It's
well, I think that it's vague because it's so individual too, right? Like it's the process of becoming spiritual, of becoming one with self, of going to it's so individual. You never know what point it is that's going to hit, that's going to cause that to start catapulting you forward in this journey, right? And you have no control over how fast or how slow or what you're shown or what you're not. And the thing is, once you're awake and you're on it, there's no turning back. Like you can't stop. You just can't. It keeps going, right?
Can't unknow what you know.
No, that's true. That's very true.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Well, I had a question for you guys today too, following up that delightful question about what is spirituality to you. I would love to know, and let's share with our viewers, what was the last energetic tool you used? Like most recently, could have been 5 minutes before we got on this call, for all I know. But what's the last energetic tool you used, and what was it for? What did you do? What was the process?
I got one right off the bat. Do you, Jen?
I do too. Go ahead.
Okay. Reiki.
Good
Reiki.
Nice.
My son is sick, so I've been sending him some Reiki energy healing to help his little back and his chest open up, because he keeps saying my back hurts, and trying to just kind of loosen up whatever is rattling in his lungs, the poor little guy. So that was the last thing that I did, was my Reiki. Actually, even going above that, I always sit and ground myself and get on my access before coming on our podcast calls too. So that's another thing that I did, was just grounding myself to make sure that I am not having interference in my channel as we have a conversation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. I do that one right, like before we come on too. So aside from that one, good.
Okay. Because that was the first thing that I was going to say.
Was it?
Yeah. Because it's definitely grounding myself, because there's moments where, like people coming into your field, that kind of a thing, where you get like a little whoosh. Yeah. Like ground, and then expand my field and just like try and boot everybody out. But if we're not counting grounding, then it would have to be like quantum touch is what I do the most every day. I'm doing that.
And what do you do that? What's that for? Like, what did you do that most recently for? What do you generally use it for?
What I'm generally using it for, I'm generally using it mostly on other people. I was working on myself in this last little while because my heel hurts.
Oh, so physical pain?
Pain in my heel that needs working. And so I was working on my hips and my knee and my heel, that kind of stuff.
Neat.
Yeah.
I love
and
that.
I could have used it on Charlie, but it didn't.
Well, it didn't. And what about you, Patricia?
Mine would be, I did like sound, we'll call it sound
healing,
sound work. Yeah, sound healing. I guess the next question would be, what is healing to you? What's the definition? But yeah, I would say healing. So I did some chanting and stretching.
Nice.
Call it. Loosely using the term stretching, not as you'd formally see someone stretch, but a lot of body movement with some chanting. And
awesome.
So, yeah, I like to find a different way to kind of connect to my body in the mornings. I would even call that maybe part of a morning routine.
Yeah.
Again, loose definition.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I like things loose.
Yeah.
But, and so each day I'm connected to my body in a different way, waking it up myself, seeing them kind of going where I need to go in my body. And so, yeah, today was using my voice to really get that flow.
That's awesome. Do you have a specific chant or sound you like to make, or do you just kind of do intuitive, whatever comes out, you let it happen?
Been pretty intuitive lately because I'm really activating, I think, my light language.
Yeah.
But I have used ones off YouTube before, different chanting ones, and sometimes I'll even start kind of doing that with them with the music and then do my own, or yeah.
Cool.
Today was all just me, no other sound.
You making sounds. I like to
Just
do
me
that when
making
I'm by myself driving, practice my light language.
Mm.
I think if I did that in front of my family right now, they'd look at me sideways, but
Yeah, I was home alone.
yeah.
Well, the dogs were here. I'm sure they think I'm fricked, but they know that anyway.
They're all over it. Animals get it.
Yeah, animals
They
totally
see it all. They get it.
get it. Yeah, 100%.
Amazing.
Yeah.
A little bit of aversion to chanting.
Why?
Yeah.
I don't know why. I'm not comfortable doing it.
It does, and I don't know if this is why, but as you're bringing that up, it is a really big like it's profound letting go chanting, and it's very opening, and so that I think can bring about a little bit of fear for people. Not that that's necessarily what you're experiencing, Jen, but maybe I had a bit of that aversion before I got into it.
For whatever reason, uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe because I don't know the words. There was a circle that I was with, and they had the words, thankfully, and they were chanting, and it was like whispering my little chanting.
Yes. You know what?
Move. And then I was like, oh, this is not comfortable for me. Like,
it's a letting go. It's much like getting people, when teaching people tarot and getting them to let go and just say the frickin' let it go. That's what chanting is. You really have to let it flow, and it's vulnerable, and it doesn't make any sense necessarily. And
that's exactly what it is. You can't make sense of it. And I think that's the most uncomfortable piece for people, because our ego and our logic and our mind wants to make sense of everything, right? Like it has to be purposeful or something. But that's it. You got to be okay with being wrong and looking like a fool. The other thing I wonder too is, are you someone, Jen, who can speak your mind comfortably? Can you own your power, stand up for your truth, and be okay with that? Because that's another place where you're going to be blocked in your throat chakra, the throat area.
And there's
have the comfort to let that tone come
It's
through.
like a yes and a no. I have moments where, and I'm scratching my throat, funny enough. There's like yes, and then there's no.
Yeah.
I'm at this like.
I think you're on what do they call it? The precipice. You're about to step over into something. I really feel we're watching you really unfold in something right now, which is incredible, because obviously we get the behind the scenes with you. But I will say that is something too, that knowing you now for almost this last year, it has been a lot of, well, maybe not quite a year. It feels like forever. But, I think that is something too, that if you're someone who you have a hard time speaking your truth and standing in your power, you're going to have a harder time doing chanting. Because I know for my own self, like it has been the last 2 years of me really stepping into that power for myself. And now I'll do it, no problem. And I record myself too, just to see. And there are times where certain tones come out and I'll goosebump. And I'm like, ooh, something's coming through that is not.
Well, that's giving me goosebumps hearing that.
Yeah. But you know what? 2 years ago, there's no bloody way I would have done that.
And what's interesting is, honestly, chanting is not on my mind. Like, it's not even something that was like, oh, Jennifer, you should try chanting. Like, maybe you'll feel better. Or, like, come across my social media saying, like, chanting is the be all end all.
Now your ear.
I know. Now my ear is
here. I'm like, ooh. What is going on here?
It's the whatever. And
you're saying you're not listening to yourself.
Yeah.
You're not hearing yourself.
So maybe this was that little like push that, oh, maybe I should.
Maybe it's what you need to overcome this next step and really start to use your voice. Maybe there's some block in there that needs to come out through chanting.
I'm going to write on this.
And maybe not even chanting, right? Because that could freak people out to hear. Like,
well, and I'm not sure that chanting,
right?
Maybe just working on light language.
Yeah, just letting the flow.
Just make different.
Which is a great start for me.
Yeah.
And then even just kind of singing.
Yeah.
And,
because did you know that like dancing and singing and all of that is people's it's people's way of bringing out light coding, their light coding.
100%.
So this is why we get moved when you go to the theater or you go to a show or you watch people dance and you'll suddenly just break out in tears and you're like, oh my God, I feel that. It's because they're projecting their light coding out at you.
Yeah. You want to know something funny as you're saying that? Some of those dance shows, like I used to watch different ones like
So you think you can dance?
That's it. Thank you. So
you know that's
dance
on TV?
Oh my goodness gracious.
It came back last Wednesday.
Well, it'll be interesting to see it with these eyeballs, because when I used to watch it, there would be some of the dancers that I'd be judging because they would be doing, I think it's like contemporary or something, where they kind of flail all around the stage to random music, and it doesn't look like it makes a whole lot of sense. And they always talk like, I'm letting out all my emotions, and weird gyrating actions. And I would get triggered and I'd be like, what the fuck? Like, they don't even know. Like, silly. That's dumb. They look dumb. Like, I would say these things, right, about them, and still loved watching it, but thought that those ones were a bit, no, I would never do that.
Yeah.
And now, fast forward, what you saw me doing this morning in my bedroom by myself was a little bit odd, probably much like that. Yeah. And yeah, I think what it was that triggered me in that time was their vulnerability and their ability to let go so much. They're on a fucking stage in front of millions of people on goddamn TV, and they look like an idiot, and they're totally into it. In my opinion, right? They don't look like an idiot, but in my opinion, and they're totally into it. And I think that I was jealous of their ability to be that free and let go and tap into something so important to them and so emotional. And I've always been a very passionate person. I'm an Aries. I get worked up, quite easily, but to tip over into that level of vulnerability and let it go was like, holy shazballs, which now I've been able to realize and do for myself. And it's been a huge piece of my healing, which started with artwork, because I couldn't do that either. And now I'm chanting and flailing around all new in my bedroom.
I'd love to see what you pick up now too, because for me, I've always loved dance. Like, I grew up doing dance, and
I was a figure skater, which is dancing on skate.
Yeah, so it is. Yeah, right. And that's a form of your light coding coming out too, right? Your light language. But I've always loved it. Like, anything theater, anything singing, I can get moved by that stuff very, very easily. I can get moved by that easier than I can by watching a rom-com, like, that's just how I am. Seeing that stuff will get me, and I will blubber. And so it's funny because watching, now I would say my lensing is more open in that I can interpret better that contemporary dance. And so it's funny that you're saying that specifically with contemporary, because like I said, So You Think You Can Dance just came back last Wednesday. Wes and I loved that show. We used to watch it all the time. Then it went off the air. Now it's back. So we're watching it. There was a girl on it last week, and she did a dance, and it was like, I could understand as if she was talking what her dance was about. It was unbelievable. And Wes was like, what do you think that was? And I said, she's talking about suicide. And he's like, oh. And so they came and they said, can you tell us about this piece? And she's like, yeah, I was suicidal. This is my journey and me trying to take my life and having an awakening. Goosebumping. I was like, oh my God.
It's giving me goosebumps right now hearing that.
You should watch it. It's amazing. And it is. They look funny, right? Like the super animated expressions and the very interesting body movements. But yeah, I think when you open up and like you say, you kind of take out your own biases and you take out your stuff and you have your own life lessons and your own stuff that comes in there, and you become a clear funnel of your own light coding, your own information, your perception becomes wider to everything else around you, and you're able to better interpret what other people are trying to show you as well. So that movement is there as the feeling, but then also the actual like, oh, I see you. I really truly see you now. And the message you're getting was fucking amazing.
Totally.
You should watch it. It's really cool.
Yeah. Well, I think I might. And it's getting me to think of like judgment in general. Like when I think about how I used to look at them dancing and the judgment that would come up. And that's something that's been a great part of my healing and learning, is like, all that was the mirror. Like I used to judge myself so hard. Right. Oh, and I didn't think I was really that judgmental of other people because I hated myself so much. I thought I would never hate on someone else, because I know how painful it is, within, but I was doing the exact opposite. I mean, I judged people and things, and I judged everything. And it wasn't until I could look at myself and heal those wounds of where I was judging myself that I could stop. And then not only did I stop judging, which has been really fun, but I can see better. Like, as you're saying, I can see the interpretation. I can see behind a movement or an action that someone's doing, or, their behaviors and stuff, and go, oh, you know what? I see the truth behind that, instead of just judging its face value.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. You can see it for the face value, right? There's no distortion in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is so nice.
All because I was able to let go and be vulnerable with someone,
Excuse me.
Kind of a neat thing.
Excuse me. Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. Do you watch that show, Jen? We should check it out. It's a good one.
I have a hard time watching the shows when people are performing, like, and not that I don't enjoy them. Charlie, my husband, is not interested in watching them, but so with the dancing, like they'll dance one week and I'll be like, oh yeah, dance group, whatever, was great, and then next week I will have forgotten which one I liked. And then I'm like, oh yeah, who did we like last week? Yeah, I can't remember. And then I don't find as much enjoyment out of it because I can't seem to remember who was the couple I liked. And same with the like singing. So I'll listen to somebody sing last week and they'll be in a different outfit and then they change their hair and they change their makeup and all that stuff. And then I can't recognize them the next week. And then I'll be like, were you my favorite last week? Was I gearing for you? And then I'm like, oh, I can't remember. So then I can't participate.
You're bringing up Fresh Judgment. I just realized I'm still carrying though.
Yeah.
Fucking The Masked Singer. Have you guys seen that? I've only seen ads for it, so I don't know what it's about, but it's people in costumes. I think some of them are celebrities because I did get a look.
Yeah, they're all celebrities.
A chick with her hat off and it was what's her head from Cheers, but yeah, I don't think I like that show. I'm judging them. It looks dumb to me. Yeah.
We can't get on board with that one either.
Have you watched an episode?
We've watched one.
Okay. See, I haven't even given it an episode. The commercials are a turn off for me. So
if they would finish in the episode, that would be great. Like if the frog that sang at the end revealed who the frog was, then I'd be all happy with that. But they kind of go on, right? Like,
okay.
I thought that they announced them. The one we saw anyway, they announced. So maybe we just caught the one. She had a flower. She was a flower. Had a flower.
Yeah, but like it's like for some of them, you have to keep watching.
Yeah.
Like they keep going and going and going, and then you don't get to see. So first you think,
till the end or something.
Whatever, and then there's like whatever 3 episodes later, and then finally we get to find out who the frog is.
Well,
gotcha. At that point, I've already given up. Like,
the hardest part of that in those shows to me is when I watch someone perform, it's every single aspect of them that I want to be seeing. I want to see their face. I want to see the way their body's moving. I want to see the way their energy is projecting around their body. I want to feel new tones. I want to it's a dance that you do when you're watching stuff, right? Like they're pulling your energy in and you kind of do this tango together as you're taking in all their coding. And I feel like when they're wearing this big,
huge costume,
really looking costume, it removes that, right? Like it is so appropriately named The Mask, right? Because it's causing a distortion.
Yeah.
The one that we like better, the one that we've watched more, is the one where there's all the singers and then they're playing the game and they say, did that person sing or did that person like lip sync?
Oh, I've never seen that.
And then you like win money, like whatever.
Oh, that's fun. I could maybe get on that one.
Then you're like, oh, did they like fumble their lips at a certain point, or were they full on using their voice and singing? And then I feel like that is more like a psychic game.
Yeah.
That's where you're like, okay, I can watch your body language and all of this, and what is my spidey senses telling me about?
Yeah,
are you really singing, or is she really like gonna be horrible? Like, is she
yeah.
How much does this sound like the original artist and not just someone, singing?
Totally.
That one is a neat game because there's also money involved.
That's always fun. And I love what Tiana was bringing up actually with the whole, like when someone is engaging in something, whether they're dancing or singing or acting or whatever, or I'm just talking to people. And actually what I'm going to bring up is just talking to people. I often say this to my girlfriend, like, don't just hear my words, feel everything I'm saying. And I'll tell that to people all the time because that's how I communicate with people. That whole thing, it's not just the words. I'm getting a lot more than just the words. And I think that's cool. Yeah.
I totally agree. I say that to my son all the time because he's like, how do you know when I'm lying? Because he'll tell me something and I'm like, okay, are we telling the truth right now? Yeah. And I'm like, hey, you remember who you're talking to, right? He's like, okay, what really happened is, and then he'll tell me the truth. And he's like, how do you know? And I'm like, because mom feels your energy. You cannot lie. And there's no need to lie. The truth will do.
Yeah.
But Yeah. And same with my husband, same thing. I'm like, you can't hide anything from me because I can feel the shift. Like you forget we've been together for so long. You really start to understand somebody's energy signature so intimately. Mm-hmm. Right. I mean, literally and figuratively, you do. Mm-hmm. And the most subtle of shift in their energy and their frequency and the vibration and the way that they're projecting, you pick those tones up and you understand. Yeah. So it's like, if I'm asking you, I already know. So let's just have a conversation, right? No sense to lie.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Definitely. I say that to Charlie all the time, that I'm reading beyond what he is seeing. Mm-hmm. When we talk to somebody and I'll be like, no, there is this or this behind that. And he'll be like, well, they didn't say that. I'm like, it doesn't matter. I can feel it.
Yeah.
And when we talk about that, and this is really great for our viewers, and this is why we're so motivated to bring this woo-woo stuff to help you human and make it easier, because honestly, being able to grab into what we're talking about and being able to read the energy and tap into more and not just take things at face value necessarily is a huge tool in your life. I don't know why we didn't start teaching this to humans a long time ago. I guess we had to learn a bunch of other stuff so we would know. But it's a super important tool, healing tool that you can use in your life, is start to figure out how you can to tap into your psychic abilities, really.
Mm-hmm. Well, excuse me. You know, the thing too is, I don't think it's a matter of us learning. It's a matter of us unlearning the conditioning, because I do believe this is innate within all of us.
You know what I like when people say is remembering.
Yeah,
I love that.
About practicing it.
Yeah.
Well, now it is, but I mean, if we weren't programmed and conditioned and had this, I mean, really, this is a whole friggin' rabbit hole you can go down, but the amount of stuff, the amount of neurotoxins and chemicals, fluoride, things that we put in our body every single day that are seemingly harmless, that are actually the greatest harm of all, the programmings that we watch on TV, the things that we read, the stuff that we listen to, all of that shapes what we're seeing and how we think for ourselves, the masks that we choose to wear or not wear, right? I mean, it is
especially
thing.
Especially if you're taking things like, I was gonna say, especially if you're taking things right as they come and not seeing behind, but as well as, I mean, those toxins are coming in whether you know where they're coming from or not. So it's that combo, but yeah.
It's everywhere and in everything. So, I mean, I really believe that, you know, a long time ago, before we were this big civilization, people had, you know, control over stuff. I think our psychic senses were on fire, on point, and going all the time, right? And then slowly over time, they got calcified or shut off or whatever you want to call it, right? And now there's a whole bunch of people that are going, wait a second, no, we know this. Hold on, we know this. And stuff is turning on. It's turning on rapidly.
Absolutely. And I think the more you get rid of the stress and can see more perspectives instead of taking the face value of things, it kind of all starts to stack on top and you get the snowball rolling and remembering, it's like becoming all that you are. It just kind of happens. It feels cool.
It's cool.
Definitely want to inspire people to look at that. And I think you really can start by just questioning and diving into things that interest you and really questioning the world around you and just knowing that's the face value, and there's always more behind it, and just taking that with you and letting yourself explore.
Yeah. But even before that, even if you're not at that stage, there's the three of us that are quite good at that, at doing the dig deeper and getting and pulling those emotions out and getting people to a place where they can start exploring it for themselves.
Yeah. Because it's not like if that feels like I can't even begin into what you guys are saying, then you're probably at the spot where you need a little help first to unknot. I know I did. I don't know what your guys' journey went, but I needed a lot of professional help.
For me in the beginning, when my stuff first started turning on, I mean, you guys know my story. Mine happened back in 2011. And I had stuff turning on where suddenly I'm feeling people's illnesses and I can't decipher what's mine and someone else's. And the amount of anxiety and depression and things that started coming on the account of having these senses wake up without me even trying, I absolutely needed somebody to help me. Yeah. And I thought I was damn crazy. I really did. I was like, what is wrong with me? I'm a hypochondriac. I've got the stuff going on, but then I'm seeing people close to me getting sick with the things that I was thinking about and fearing. And all of a sudden I'm like, hold on a second. I started looking and seeing this happening constantly. And I was like, okay, there's something to this. There has to be other people. And I remember saying that to my husband, there has to be other people in this world who know how to do this, who can teach me how to discern what is mine, what is someone else's, and how do I help them? Because there's a reason I'm getting this information. So what is that reason? What am I supposed to be doing? And I mean, it took 10 years, but I had an amazing mentor walk into my life who finally I was like, oh my God, I'm not crazy. This makes sense. I just have to learn myself first. I have to know myself first. Mm-hmm. That's a big journey that I have been on over the last couple of years, taking various courses and different things. And really taking myself not to a rock bottom, because the rock bottom happened a long time ago. It was more like, okay, come on, here's my hands. Let's pick you up now. And you can do this. And actually you're so much bigger than this. Right. And now here we are. I've made some new friendships and I'm on a new adventure, and definitely want to support people in doing that too, because it does not have to be scary. And I think when you sit and you listen to podcasts and you listen to the woo world, and there's so much information, some really great and some total shit, but it seems overwhelming. Like it just feels like there's so much to learn.
And mysterious or something.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you worry, like, what are people going to think of me? Hey, go hide in the freaking spiritual closet. I did it for a long time. I sat in there and I was like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing. I got to sort this out. Now I'm out of the closet and I'm proud, because it's amazing over here. And all that it's done is make me be a better person. I'm a better version of me from the work that I've done. I'm a kinder parent. I'm a more attentive lover. I'm a better business partner. I'm a better human being all around, because I chose to invest in me and getting to know me for me, no other motive. Right. And that allows me to go help other people do the same thing.
Totally. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I know, like how you were saying, like I felt cursed. Yeah. That's my big thing. Totally cursed.
Yeah, great.
Totally cursed. Like, what the hell? What is this curse? Yeah.
Yeah, it's scary, right? And the way it can like physically affect you too, being so detached from self. Mm-hmm. Like, it was just not a nice time of life for a good chunk of time there. It was like I was scared to live. I was, truthfully.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was.
Yeah. So when you're in the hard places, definitely get some help and get it kind of sorted out, get good, inspired actions, get knowing that you're on the right path, get that support and get that hand holding, because you do need it in the beginning. Otherwise you're in here swirling around different little tidbits you're picking up, maybe from Googling different things that you're feeling, whether the symptoms in your body,
don't
in your mind, and you're trying to piece it all together. And that just kind of makes it harder. It makes it take longer too, if that's a factor, but it makes it harder and a little more confusing than just diving in and working with someone and giving yourself that gift. A session could be $100 or $200, and it can be life-changing, so it's well worth. I've wasted money on a lot dumber things. So this is somewhere to prioritize is your health, because what's on the other side of this is just like we're able to, talk to you guys now about being able to see all different perspectives, being able to see beyond just what's wrong with me and that person did this wrong and I did that wrong, and the judgments that we face every day. It's being able to live beyond that. Your life isn't just a bunch of, stress and judgments and shit you have to do. It becomes magical. You actually get to co-create in your life. And it seems impossible at first. I didn't believe it. I mean, years and years and years ago, when I heard things about The Secret and, I just got to think about it and then I'm going to get it. That's bullshit. Well, there's some real jazz in there. Mm-hmm. But you do got to get out of your own way first, and you don't have to do that alone.
Yeah. Yeah. So true. And the nice thing is as well, like the other piece I think that people might feel when they go into this world is thinking like, okay, it's all or nothing 100% of the time. And it doesn't have to be. Like the thing that I love is now when I am very human, it's easier to human. So even when the hard thing happens, I'm not sitting and wallowing in it the way that I once did. Now I'm like, okay, it's okay. Or, this weekend, prime example. I mean, we went away camping and there was one day I meditated, one. And that's just because I woke up early. My kids were still asleep. My husband went out fishing and I sat in front of the lake and it was a beautiful sunny day and I drank my hot lemon water and I took time and I listened to the birds and I smelled the fresh air. And And I sat there and I enjoyed it. And then aside from that, I allowed myself to drink wine, and I totally went off my cleanse. I mean, I still did my heavy metal detox and my celery juice every day in my trailer. I was like sitting there blending my celery juice, but I had wine and I had s'mores and I ate my vegan hot dogs, and I allowed myself to enjoy life and being human. And I enjoyed it on a whole different level.
That's the thing. Enjoyment even becomes more enjoyable.
It's more intense, and it's all consuming, and it oozes out of you, and it feels good. And then on that flip side too, here I am back at home dealing with some really human-y things in my house, but I'm right back on my cleanse. And it's like, I have no feelings of lack. There's no energy pulling anymore, right? Like I'm just so self-assured in the choices that I'm making and what I'm doing that I guess this is really essentially getting in that ebb and the flow, right? Like when you do really clear that stuff out and you get into it, it's just easier. Like even the hard shit is easier.
Yeah, I agree. 100%. And then you get more synchronicities and
1111 333 hummingbird by the window.
Right? So cool.
Yeah.
Do you guys feel complete for today's podcast? Do you have any more tidbits for people, or?
No, I feel like that's.
Let's remind everyone to do all the YouTube-y things, like the video, share it with a friend, subscribe to the channel, maybe even comment below so we can interact with you.
Comment. Yes, we'd love to know who's watching.
Comments are good.
Comments are good. And in the description, you are going to find all our information, so you can connect with us for a session individually if you like. And you're also going to find a link to our free Facebook group, which we go live in every Thursday. Super fun. Still buzzing from last Thursday's live. You guys, oh my God, that was so good.
That was such a good live.
That was so good. So definitely join us in there. It's free. It's fun. All right. That's it from me. What do you guys?
It's not as hard to human as you think.
Yeah.
That's just a fun little play on words. I'd also like to add one thing, just as a little disclaimer, is that we are not saying if you are having a hard time, if you're dealing with some health issues, maybe you're dealing with some anxiety, depression, what we're doing here is just for fun, and we're only speaking from our own truths and what we've experienced. At no point are we telling you, don't go to the doctor, don't look into this. If you're having real human things happening, check those out. But on the side, take care of your energetic and spiritual self, because there are layers to you. And some of those layers we'd love to help you with if you need that help, that you can use in conjunction with your allopathic medicine. So reach out, don't struggle on your own.
Yeah, because even as I said at the start, there's three of us and we have three different opinions. And we're just here to talk about different opinions.
Yeah. Different styles, different opinions, different approaches. Absolutely. Love it. Okay.
Love and light. Just kidding.